Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome back. It's good to be back. Took a little bit of a break for last Easter weekend. Didn't go anywhere, just tried not to work. How are you guys doing? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Beauty of Aging, a channel for every woman who's unapologetically growing bolder. This is another Friday morning edition of Coffee with Angel. I'm Angel Cornelius, the founder of Maison 276 and creator of the award-winning 3-step system for silver, gray, and blonde hair, a healthy way to brighten, cleanse, and restore the natural brilliance of your hair without purple dyes, available at Walmart and Amazon. It's so good to be back, y'all. How are you doing? Did you have a great weekend? And hopefully you rested. Good morning. Hello, Cassandra. Hey, Annette. So good to see you this morning. You did make it. You know, Annette's recovering from her hand surgery and all of her extended rehab. So we're so glad. Oops, try not to spill my water. We're so glad to know she's back at the keyboard, taking it easy, but joining us again this Friday morning. I did have a great Easter weekend, Shauna. How are you guys doing? Good morning. Good morning. Hi, Michelle. I see your question, but I don't know what it means. So feel free to elaborate a bit. So as I was thinking about our topic for this morning, y'all, I thought there's always a lot of things to talk about, and we always have good fun. And what I really love, if you're new to Coffee with Angel, welcome. But this is not a platform where I lecture. I lay out the topic of the day, and then the community digs in and offers amazing advice and insight. And so today's topic is, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? Now, I know there are people in our community who are not yet 40, and that is quite all right. You'll get there. But for you, it would simply be, what would you tell your younger self? So I'm going to type today's topic into the chat, and I want you to be thinking about it. I know this is a juicy one. Remember, you don't have to be 40 plus to participate. Because frankly, if you're 20, you can probably think of some things you would tell your younger self. Don't know, every time I start typing and then I'm like, Angel, why didn't you put your glasses on? Okay. Let's put it up and let's hear what y'all got to say on this topic. So as I was getting ready this morning, thinking about like my own comments on the topic, I had so many things running through my head. I'm like, girl, you either better write this down in your notes because you're not going to remember. So, for context, I am 66. So, I have a lot of advice for my 40-year-old self. And if you are, many people in the beauty of aging are 50 plus, but this is truly a community for every woman. And if you are one of the younger members of our community, I would say that you can really gain some insight by listening to what older women have to say. I have women that are 70 and 80 in my life, including my own mother, but I am still intrigued by their insight on certain things. And so don't think this chat isn't for you. So let's go on over here to make sure our friends on Instagram are with us. Good morning. Hey, Nidella. Hi, Naturally Gray. Hi, Creative Designs. Thank you guys for joining us. Today's topic is, if you just hopped on, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? Okay, here we go. I'm trying to make sure everybody's live. Okay, here we go. Oh, yes. All About Food says you will go through many challenges in life, but don't worry. We can stop right there, but there is more. They will make you stronger and God will bring you through. Oh my gosh, yes. Sister Girl Chronicles says, I would tell myself to take better care of my physical and emotional health. The professional grind isn't always worth the amount of energy you spend trying to move to the top of the food chain. Yep. Only to realize, Cassandra, sometimes when you get to the top, you're like, is this what I've been sacrificing for? And it is when so many people in life, especially in midlife, make pivots and they're just like, it actually wasn't even what I thought. And I'm going to take all of my talents, I like to say my personal toolkit, and you take that somewhere where you're not only appreciated, but rewarded, and it is more fulfilling. Absolutely. Good morning, Marcia. Thank you for joining us. Today's topic is, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? And you know the community already's got wisdom in the chats. Oh, thank you. I love this because Shauna is talking to her 30-year-old self. She said at that time she had a baby, her marriage fell apart, she lost her job. Oh my gosh. All of those major life events in a short period of time. And she still would tell herself, life will get better because God's got you. That spiritual part is so important. Um, yes, yes, absolutely. Good morning, Not Before 10. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely. Annette says she would tell myself, hey, friend, remember you are enough and you are beautiful. Yes, absolutely. The beautiful part, especially because, oh my gosh, women spend so much of their lives worrying, not in a good way, but obsessing about their appearance to meet societal standards. Um, I'm not against the obsession part, but for the right reasons. To Cassandra's point, taking care of yourself, obsessing about your emotional health and your physical health, because we only get one body, y'all. We only get one body. Good morning. Nidella over on Instagram says, celebrate and embrace your strengths. Be confident and always know that you are enough. That is a recurring theme because society does have a way of sometimes making us feel like no matter what we do, it is never enough. And I think that, not I think, I know that I have been on that treadmill before. I would say I was on that treadmill for decades of, just never feeling like I was enough internally, externally, what I was doing at work, just always, you're always comparing yourself to something. And this was before social media. A lot of our beauty of aging sisters know that, this is, I think people think social media is this time where people are constantly comparing themselves. I would say it's on steroids now, but women, we have always compared ourselves because there has always been this standard, whether it was for our family, our career, whatever. There have always been these standards by which we have compared ourselves. So that is not new. Social media has just taken it up to another level. And I think what I would tell myself is a lot of those things that I saw that I thought were aspirational were really just a house of cards. And never celebrating anyone or the demise of any particular person or situation, not celebrating that, but realizing that the things that look so put together and so perfect, a lot of those are on the struggle bus too, and they actually don't have it all together. And that's why I said oftentimes those things were a house of cards and ultimately came crumbling down. And so, what I would tell my 40-year-old self is focus on you and yours and what is important and the goals that you have, whether it's personal goals, goals for your family, goals for your children. Focus on that and not so much on what you see on the outside, because oftentimes things are not as they appear. And that's my TED Talk for this morning. So let's go back to the chat. Oh, and Shauna, more trauma, personal Shauna says that she lost her home that same year. It was a lot, but you know, Sister Girl Chronicles says you rose above all of that to be able to share your story, because there is power in sharing your story. There's power for you because you're no longer bound by it, but there's also power for other people because they realize, like, oh, I'm going to be okay. Yes, this is really, where you are. Shauna will attest, and I'm sure each of us has a similar type of story. Where you are is really, really hard, but you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. You just keep doing the things that you know you need to do. So thank you so much for sharing that, Shauna. Um, yes, you're absolutely right, Annette. Absolutely right. We are always given often some unattainable goals and standards. Marcia says, let's see. Marcia says she would encourage young women to avoid debt and invest in long term investments that produce large yields. Yeah, now we're really getting into some nitty. Like, it's all good, but there's so many different facets, right? Y'all, there's the personal, there's the financial, there's the physical, the relational. Like, there's always a lot of things on our plate. So thank you for bringing that up, Marcia, because and what made me, you know what, this is a great point. There is a commercial JP Morgan is running now. I've seen it on multiple channels, and it's this young man. He looks to be like a couple of years out of college, a professional job, and he's sitting down with his banker, meaning he's in his 20s, and he's sitting down with his banker who is preparing three accounts for him: his personal, living account, a savings account, and a retirement account. And to your point, Marcia, so many of us were not taught to think about those things right out the chute, like right out of college. Oftentimes it was about acquiring things that made us happy, that made us feel successful. And none of those things are wrong. But the retirement, thinking about retirement when you're 20, and honestly, like wholehearted savings, that was not something that many of us were taught. And so, super grateful that the young community, the younger generation can learn from us, but that those are things that you can start thinking about right now. It is literally never too late, because things happen. Things happen that we have no control over. Absolutely. Yes. And as Shauna says, when 10 years later, she was a much better version of herself. Absolutely. One question, and I'm going to hop. Oh, yet you rose. Oh yes, still I rise. Shauna, you got the community going this morning with the sharing of your authentic story. And you've been a part of the Beauty of Aging Friday morning chat since its inception, as are many people on the chat. And so, we've listened to a lot of the joy that you shared about your daughter, getting ready to graduate from college. You may have already, a couple of months ago, you were chatting with us as you were on your way to a trip with your husband, a sweetheart weekends trip. And so it reminds me of a church song, they see your glory, but they don't know your story, because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. So thank you so much. Absolutely. That is, in fact, one of my favorite poems. Yeah, Sister Girl Chronicles is echoing financial wellness is a priority for sure. Absolutely. So if you just joined us, good morning. Welcome to the Beauty of Aging, our weekly Friday morning coffee chats, Coffee with Angel. We talk about a lot of different topics, but they are all issues that are important to you, the woman who is unapologetically growing bolder. Today's topic is, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? And if you're not 40, just what would you tell your younger self? We've gotten a lot of recurring themes about reminding yourself that you're enough, recurring things of financial health, establishing that really early. And that's why this is a community for everyone, because if you're not 40, if you're in your 20s or 30s, these are things, these tidbits of nuggets of things that we wish we would have done, you can actually do those things right now. Absolutely. Some other things, here's another question that I see all the time. So I am really curious as to how you guys feel about it. I'm going to put it in the chat, but it is, if you could go back to another age, what would that age be? Or would you? So I'm going to put that in the chat. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Angel, put your glasses on. If you could go back to another age, what would it be? Would you go back? That's tricky, right? Because definitely there have been some mistakes that we've made. So I'll go first on this one. Honestly, of course, there are many mistakes I would love to undo. There are things that I wish I would have done. But I would say I would not go back. At 66, I would say I would not go back, because all of those experiences, good, bad, mistakes, things that I didn't do, they all make me who I am now. And I really believe I'm the best version of myself that I've ever been. And I am still working to be better at all levels. I don't ever think there's a point where you've peaked out, right, on improving. but I wouldn't go back. There's so much that I am able to enjoy about my life right now. Um, Things that I no longer worry about, and so they make room for me to really have what I call true joy. And that doesn't mean I don't have struggles, disappointments, all of those things. That is life. And that's what I know at 66. Those types of things, they never go away, but you just get better at managing it all. And so I would say I would not go back. I wouldn't go back. Oh, y'all are really thinking about this. Okay, I love this. Annette says she's thought about that for a lot, but she's come to realize she had to go through the things that she did. Exactly, or else you wouldn't be the woman that you are today. Exactly. I agree, Annette. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Now, All About Food says she wished she knew the things. Well, that part. Not everything, Annette, but I do wish there were some things that, man, if I had known this at 30, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Ashana says, as painful as some situations were, she doesn't think she'd change it. Right. Common theme. It makes you who you are now. Absolutely. Good morning over there on Instagram. How are you guys doing? We are having a really wonderful chat this morning about an interesting topic. What would you go back and tell your 40-year-old self? Or if you're not 40, what would you tell your younger self? And the next question was, what would you, if you could go back to any age, what would that be? And would you go back if you could? And overwhelmingly, the comments are, I would not go back. I love that. What's the saying? If I right, if I knew right. If I knew then what I know now. And there's another one that I like is youth is wasted on the young. But I don't think it's the my version of that is the energy, right? The energy, just the physical energy of youth. Like if you had that physical energy and that physical resilience, and then you had the wisdom of being, whatever age you consider yourself when you felt wise, like that would be an amazing combination. And that's why I keep working out, just taking care of this temple because I'm trying to keep that energy level up. Speaking of, y'all, I got a new exercise. I don't want to call it toy thing, a piece of equipment. Excited about sharing that with y'all. And when I was using it yesterday, I was just like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be sore in some spots that I'm not normally sore in. It didn't even wait till yesterday morning. I mean, it didn't wait till this morning. It was last night, but it's all good. It's all good. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. So another question, and this is we're flipping it because we've been talking a lot about what we would change. Will we go back? But here's another thing to consider. What's the one thing that you're proud of that you held on to? Because everything we did when we were young, everything we did when we were young wasn't bad. It wasn't. Everything we did was not bad. Now, a lot of things came to mind for me, really, really personal. And Yeah, I would say for me, when I was young, I always knew that I would live in another place, that I would not live in the city where I was raised. I always knew if I wanted to be something different and do something different, that I would have to do that in another place. A part of that, I would say that sparked that. I was always an avid reader, just like devouring books. I grew up in New Orleans, which I love my hometown, but it is really, really hot in the summer. And so I would spend my summers in the library, just going to the library because there was one walking distance from our house in Carrollton, which is uptown. And I would go to the Carrollton library and just get as many big books as they would let me check out and go home, devour them in a couple of days, go back. And so that reading exposed me to a lot of things that maybe, not maybe, it exposed me to a lot of things that I was not necessarily seeing. And so I think that had a lot to do with it. But I do remember like my family being so worried that it wasn't the expectation of, I was always expected to go to college, but it was like, there are a lot of colleges in New Orleans, in the state, but I wanted to do something different. And that's why I came to Texas. And I remember, despite the anxiety of my family, particularly my mother, that I still held my ground at 17 because I graduated from high school at 17 and I left. And so I am really glad that I didn't let that pressure or the let other people's fears be projected onto me, and that I held my ground and did the thing that I had always said I was going to do, maybe since I was 7 or 8 years old. So that's one thing that I'm really happy that I held on to. Um, Oh, great. Okay, great questions. Annette, she's glad she held on to her faith in God. Otherwise, she would have never made it. Absolutely. And I would say faith is one of those things that I'm very grateful for. My family, I would say, giving me or ensuring that was, a community of faith was always important to us growing up. So certainly, definitely, that was just something that was in me, and so definitely glad that that's something that I held on to. Absolutely. Sister Girl Chronicles, she held on to her values and faith. Yes, because sometimes we can develop, like, you don't have to be a full grown adult to develop a moral compass and to develop some values that may or may not be different than what's around you. Like, that's not something that's reserved for adulthood. And holding on to that when you're very young, depending on what's around you, can be difficult. Absolutely. All About Food says she's glad that she did not give in to peer pressure and held on to her morals of being strong. And like you said, standing your ground. Yes, absolutely. Uh, and, I don't know why I was so firm in that, considering how young I was, but I'm grateful that I was. And doing that thing at 17 gave me confidence to do other things. Like, it's very incremental, and do other things that maybe are against, not against, but just not what everybody else is doing. And so you just build that muscle, right? Annette, and All About Food, you build that muscle of, well, I did this thing and I was just fine, even though, it wasn't what everyone else was doing. So, I can do this thing too. And I'll fast forward that 50 years to becoming an entrepreneur at, in my very late 50s, when everyone else was thinking about retirement. And, it's funny, like next Saturday, I'm going to another retirement party. All of my friends have either retired, my close friends, or they have the date circle. And that is so not where I am right now. And I am okay with that. I really am, because I am doing something that I'm passionate about and that brings me joy. That is the hardest thing that I've ever done, I would say, aside from being married 40 plus years and raising two children. But it still makes me happy. And I'm still excited about the future and growing. And so, yeah, you build that muscle of doing it one time, and then you just get more and more courage, and it makes you unapologetically bolder, which is not something I consciously thought that I was doing. And just it kind of all came together a few years ago. Like, oh, that's what you've been doing. Absolutely. Good morning. Oh, I Nidella says she likes where she is now. I would say you love where you are now. Y'all, thank you so much. This has been such, I mean, I'm grateful for the topic. I always want topics that I know will engage you. And I know that you as a community will have so much to contribute to. So thank you guys so much. Thank you. Oh, whew, yes, Annette, it'll be 42. Wait, what year is this? This is 26. Yes, girl. It's like my age. Sometimes I got to do the math in my head. So this June will be 42. I do the math in my head. 42, two adult children. Yes, it is. Sometimes I look back and think, whew, wow. Sometimes it feels like yesterday, though, Annette. It's kind of like when you look at your kids and you can't believe they're as old as they are. Sometimes when I think about how long and we dated in college. We were college sweethearts. So, I mean, on the marriage license, it's a number of years, but then in life, it's even more than that. So, thank you. I appreciate that. So now, guys, oh, I actually asked you that already. So I always have a list of questions, and what I learned, I had to start like printing them out because I would get so deep into the conversation with y'all, and then I'd wrap up, and it was like, man, I forgot to ask them this. Here's a question, another question. Has your definition of beauty changed? And has your definition of confidence changed? Certainly, my definition of beauty has changed, or else I would not have created a beauty company at 50s, in my late 50s. Um, I, for me, beauty is so much about how you feel about yourself. And the healthier your image is and how you feel about yourself, the more that projects onto other people. It's less about dress size and hairstyles and fashion. All of those things are important. Lord knows I love the fashions. I love the hair. I love all the things. I work out because I'm trying to take care of this temple. But I truly believe that the more confident you feel, and the more, what's the word I want to say? People who are good people exude a type of energy, and they look beautiful to everyone else because of the type of energy and the positive vibes that they put out. And does that make sense? It's like, if you have an ugly disposition, no matter what you put on, like, it doesn't matter. But if your spirit is good and kind and you feel good about yourself and you're all about exuding that positivity, to me, that is the most beautiful thing in the world. Love to hear y'all's thoughts on that. All About Food says most definitely it's more within me than the outside. Absolutely. But here's the thing, even if you don't feel that way about yourself, I promise you, if you have a good spirit and you are projecting that out to other people, I promise you they see you as beautiful. I promise you they do. Shauna says, as she's gotten older, she notices more of what makes each woman beautiful in her own way. Absolutely. To be authentic, a kind spirit. Oh my God, absolutely. And not about the superficial stuff. And again, let me be very, very clear. I am not saying that what we do on the outside is not important. That's not what I'm saying at all. Lord knows I've got lots of fashion vlogs and really stress the importance of taking care of ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you're putting yeah, I'm not going to say that. Annette says she was 60 years old, married. Oh, wait, what? And how to be okay. Okay. Well, thank you, Annette, for sharing that. That is, as you well know, that is not that is not an unusual story, unfortunately. But we are grateful for you and that you have found peace and you are pleased with yourself because at the end of the day, we can't control other people. All we can control is ourselves. And speaking of lessons, honey, that is a lesson that I have had to learn and to continually repeat to myself that you can only be responsible for your own actions and that you just can't take responsibility for someone else's behavior. Um, and excuse it away. So, Annette, that's what I would say is that is about that person. That is not about you. And we're so grateful that you are here and have found peace and are and a way to be whole because you are more than enough. You guys, this has been a great topic. living living better. Grace says some of us can't make 45 days. Honey, there is thank you. I appreciate that. But anybody that's been married more than 45 minutes will tell you, it takes a lot of prayer, commitment, grace, um, allowing each other to grow because clearly you are not the same person at 20 that you were at 30, that you were at 40, that you are at 60. Because if you are, that's a problem, frankly. That's no personal growth. So it requires a lot of each individual to have a healthy functioning unit, for sure. Also say Living Better Grace says beauty is definitely inner at this phase of life. And she's learned it's a lot about the energy you carry. I absolutely, absolutely. It just, I mean, a beautiful soul, right? That's kind of I just want that's what I when someone sees me, I want them to see a beautiful soul, someone that is invested in other people. And, I always say the beauty of aging, Maison 276, the brand, it exists for the community. Always wanting to give you products and information that makes your life easier and that helps you live the very best version of yourself. That's what the whole platform, the beauty of aging, is all about. And that's why I ask you guys for content recommendations. I'm like, what do y'all need? because, just a little background, if this is the first time that you've joined us, or if you are new to the community, I am one as an entrepreneur, a very unintentional entrepreneur. I was just minding my business here in my kitchen, making beauty products for myself. And my friends were the ones who said, no, we need you to make more of this stuff because we want to buy it from you. And I was just like, girl, I don't have time for this. I have a very demanding job. Texas children is I have no room for nothing else. But ultimately, I began creating more products in the kitchen because people, the community, they were like, no, we need this too. We want our silver or gray hair to be bright and vibrant. And ultimately, it became a thing. It became a brand that is on the shelves of Walmart. That in and of itself is a tremendous story. One that I could at 40 never envision. Like there's no way in the world, if you had given me a glimpse into the future, 6 years into the future, that I would have just said, you have clearly mistaken that somebody else's future. Now, as it relates to the beauty of aging, the platform, I used to spend hours answering emails and DMs from customers, people in the community asking me questions about how to use the product, hair care challenges that they have, because everyone's hair is different. And it got to a point where I could not answer all of those emails. That me personally doing it was not scalable. And so I thought, how can I scale this advice so that it's not available just to the person that I'm sending the email to, but to everyone in the community? And so social media was an obvious choice, but it was just like, well, Instagram, that's like short, right? 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Sometimes I really need to do a deep dive. And that's how I landed on YouTube. And so I started doing YouTube content on hair. And then the community was just like, but what about your makeup? How do you do your makeup? And so then I started doing makeup tutorials. And then it was just like, what about your clothes? Like, that's cute. How do you dress? Then I started doing fashion tutorials. And so the platform, the beauty of aging, what you see now, all of those different types of content, that was from you. I would have just been doing hair left to my own devices. So when you give people what they need, when you give a community what it's asking for, and you do it in a way that's not about you, but that's about them, that is honestly that's what makes you, in my opinion, a good soul. And that's really all that I want to be. And these are just platforms that allow me to do that. So thank you guys so much. So for you guys who have just joined and you didn't know, like, who is this person and how did this come to be? That was it in a nutshell. If you just joined us, we live stream every Friday, almost every Friday. Sometimes we take breaks for holidays. And we join here for our coffee chat. We talk about a lot of different topics, but they're all issues that are important to you, the woman who's unapologetically growing bolder. This morning's topic was, what would you tell your 40-year-old self? And if you're not yet 40, what would you tell your 20 or 30-year-old self? We've gotten some great advice from the community. And if you're just hopping on, all of the full episodes of not just this Coffee with Angel, but they're all uploaded to YouTube later. You can binge watch. You can go back and watch the whole episode, and you can binge watch a few others. We're going to be having a lot more guests coming up in the coming weeks. So super excited about that. But as always, thank you guys so much. This has been an amazing episode. I really get so much from you guys. I always say, I don't come here to preach. I come here for the platform, and it is for y'all. So thank you guys so much for joining me on another episode of The Beauty of Aging, Coffee with Angel. You guys have a great weekend. Spring is here. It's upon us. So I hope you've got plans to go outside, get some rays, plan some activities that will have you out. We're shedding these layers. So if you want some spring content, let me know. You know, we've been doing a lot of shop your closet, wearing the clothes you already have. I'm a big advocate of that. But, you know, if you see some deals out there, you know, let a sister know. Let a sister know. Thank you guys so much. Have an amazing weekend. And I will see you guys next weekend right here, 10 o'clock Eastern for Coffee with Angel. Thank you, Shauna. You know, I always forget to say subscribe, like, comment. That's why I love you. Thank you so much. Hi, Mary. I see you from New Orleans. Just watch the replay. We had a great conversation this morning. And don't forget, you can leave your chats, you can leave your comments, even if you're watching on replay, and share them with everyone else that will watch later. Thanks so much, y'all.